Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the delegates who have joined us today from the various parts of the world today for the World CIO 200 Africa edition. After the completion of the fantastic Europe edition, we are very excited to bring forward the lineup of the Africa event. It is a great pleasure to have all of you here. And continuing the legacy of the event, let's get started with the second leg with the Africa edition. This year's CIO 200 Summit, of course, revolves around the theme of LeadX, which is leading through transformation, where technology is borderless, ambitions are fearless, and leadership is limitless. On that note, it gives me great pleasure to call upon the CEO of GEC Media, Ronak Samantre, to present the inaugural welcome note.
Hi everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the viewers who have joined us virtually across the globe. My name is Ronak Samantrai, co-founder and CEO of GC Media Group. After a great start for the CIO 200 Roadshow 2020 from Europe edition, today we are in Africa. And in Africa, we are covering the East, West, North, and South Africa, which is a great opportunity for us and for all the participants who have logged in today. As GC Media, we all know we always take a step ahead in each and every single thing that we do, especially with the CIO 200 Roadshow, which has grown so fast in this last 8 to 9 years. So today, CIO 200 is in Africa, where the market is moving very fast, especially in the IT and technology sector, and the amount of investment that's been happening in the African region is immense. So to support that, we have some really strong lineup of speakers from Ghana, from Kenya, and from Nigeria, and some other part of the Africa as well, who would be focusing the main key areas in terms of what are the opportunities, what are the new technological challenges, what are the new adaptations, and what are the new pain areas, which as because of the transformation or the IT enhancements in this region is happening. So for that, we have some great line of speakers. We have a great uh, lineup in terms of the CIO 200 awards as well. So we have seen a great response in getting this Africa edition to a big success. So without a further ado, I would like to congratulate in advance to all the winners who will be winning the CIO 200 Africa edition today. And as I always mention, from this we will have the top CIOs who'll be joining us, will be flying from Africa to Thailand, and will be joining in the grand finale. So all the best to everyone. I'm sure we'll have a great day today. And thanks to all our sponsors who've been supporting in this roadshow, because it's a mega roadshow of 40 plus countries. So definitely without your support, it is not possible. So thank you to all the sponsors, and thank you to all the participants who have joined in today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ronak, for the welcome note. Now, I would like to call upon Anushree Dixit, Global Content Head, Global CIO Forum, to share a few words with our attendees.
Thank you, Gurleen, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening once again to all the delegates who have joined us from different parts of the world. We are joined here in today for the World CIO 200 Africa leg. We had a very successful EU edition last week, wherein our speakers from Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Spain, they all put forward their thoughts on how the transformation landscape has been for them. We are here today to celebrate the brilliant best practices and case studies from the continent of Africa. As we all know, in the last 10 to 15 years, Africa has been one of the continents that has been steadfast when it comes to transformation. The continent has been leapfrogging many technologies. They have been ahead of their time, be it M-payments or the penetration of internet in the continent. The reports and studies have showed that the continent has never shied away from adapting or adopting to newer technologies. In fact, Google also made a very big announcement last year that they would be investing $1 billion in the transformational projects of Africa. So we are here today to celebrate all those milestones and to see where the continent is headed towards in 2023 as well. As we know, in spite of all the pressing challenges that Africa has had in terms of their political conditions or in terms of the economic landscape, the transformation has been steady, and the continent has set a good eye on its progress as well. So we would be hearing from various speakers and panelists today on how they have been transforming their organizations with various transformative technologies, what kind of best practices they have adapted, and how the success journey of their company has been. So we hope that you would enjoy the sessions as much as we would do. And to reiterate the thought once again, we would be celebrating over 30 CIOs and IT heads from Africa today in the CIO 200 award section, wherein they would be rewarded for their merits and for being the change makers of for their company. And as the tradition goes, the selected CIOs from this list would be qualifying for the grand finale, which would be held in Thailand on the November 23rd and 24th. And yes, they would be flying into Thailand in an all-expense paid trip. So we wish all the CIOs who have made it to the list in advance. We look forward to seeing you all very soon, face-to-face and in person. Till then, stay safe and have a good day, and do enjoy the sessions. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anushree. The World CIO 200, established in 2017, is a multi-country CIO felicitation ceremony that recognizes the achievements of the digital leaders of today. Touring globally, we award the hardest taskmasters who have brought forward amazing transformative changes in their organization. This year, we started with the Europe edition, and now we are presenting the Africa edition. We will be touring 40 plus countries, and upon the completion of the roadshow, the grand finale will be held on 23rd and 24th of November in Thailand. To join us in Thailand, do nominate yourself now to get a chance to attend the event with us. Now, I would like to invite our opening keynote speaker for today, Braveen Otieno. Braveen is an astute IT professional who's associated with DB Schenker as the IT manager, privacy and data protection manager for Kenya and East Africa region. He will be sharing his thoughts on the importance of IT and business collaboration. Over to you.
So hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Welcome again to the World CIO 200 Summit. My name is Braveen Otieno. I am the IT manager and country CIO for DB Schenker, Kenya, and we're also based in the entire East Africa region. I'm particularly grateful for this opportunity that the summit and the organizers of this summit has accorded me to be one of the presenters on a subject that is very important and very pertinent to the world of technology today, and that is IT and business collaboration. So I will be speaking about this in a while, and of course I am hoping that this will be a great experience for you and for myself, and hoping that also in the previous and subsequent sessions throughout the summit, you will glean as much as is possible to enable you, to equip you, and make you able, to. So IT and business collaboration is perhaps one of the subjects that it's talked about at great length in various boardrooms and in various executive meetings, because for some reason today with the changing world, everyone everyone wants technology to be deployed in their various environments just to enable them have that competitive edge against their competitors, and also to stay relevant in the various markets. And the evolution of markets and the need to have customer satisfaction is one of the drivers that essentially is leading to this sort of transformation. So I will share my screen and then we can get right at it. So as I mentioned, Bravin Otieno, and I'm glad to be here with you. So just to provide a brief background on why IT and business collaboration. For a while now, IT has been seen as a cost center rather than a value-adding department per se in various businesses up until recently. Well, maybe years before the pandemic or after the pandemic period, IT has been seen for its real value. Yeah, the ROIs are very impressive, very tangible in, of course, how business is driven, how profit margins are attained, because, of course, at the center of technology now is the need to, as I mentioned, satisfy the customer. So IT and business collaboration, the business side of it, of course, as I've highlighted this particular slide, we have various business models, as it were. Take, for instance, the B2C, that is the business to customer, where a business will sell directly to customers. A B2B, that is business to business, is a type of model where two companies will do business together, collaborate together. And of course, a business to employee, a business to government, business to business and customer, customer to customer, and of course, as mentioned here, marketplace, of course, highlighting also the various examples within which some of these models do apply. So, but how does IT come into play with this kind of models? You see, IT is particularly unique because we have two types of clientele in the information technology world, and that is the internal clientele and the external clientele. So the internal clientele here will be the users within the company organization, and the focus being to better their experience so that they are able to offer optimal services, or to more or less have efficient processes. And that is where here processes are of course defined and bettered or optimized so that the user, while also having or rendering better services, is also able to satisfy the needs of the customer. And the external clientele, where of course the customer is the target market, or the customer rather, the target market is the clientele. Yeah, where herein we see deployments of various technologies that enable betterment of services, bridging existing gaps, and of course customer satisfaction, as I have mentioned time and again. On to my next slide, I would like to discuss briefly and succinctly the trends that we have in IT, which of course will enable business collaboration. So take, for instance, analytics, one of the facets of IT trends, where there is the usage of data, remodeling of data, so that it's used in making very important or consequential decisions in a company. So there is need, depending on the various industries from which you work, yeah, for you to be able to collect or harmonize this particular data from the market, it could be from elsewhere as well, and put it in a way that it is readable, consumable, and will be helpful in making critical decisions, whether at board levels or at whichever levels in the entire business. Also, automation, one of the buzzwords that have been talked about time without number in various boardrooms, in various executive meetings, all with the aim again of bettering your processes, yeah, and process flows, so there is efficiency and there is better user experiences. One time, I think I was talking to one of my colleagues somewhere, I will not mention a company, and I think there had been several resignations in that particular organization, and so when these employees were asked whether even if the salary were increased for them, whether they will still retain the various or respective positions, but they declined the offer, citing that the processes were too complex, and very inflexible, yeah, very tumultuous, so that even salary increment will not be enough incentive for them to stay. So automation is one of the key things that IT brings to a business, yeah, that will enable better processes and better user experiences. And of course, process automations comes with a lot, of course, in the recent past, we've seen businesses deploying RPA use cases and whatnot. This, of course, as I mentioned, being aimed at bettering user experiences. But then again, over automation can lead to job losses. And also there is also need for CIOs to understand where to automate, where not to automate, and how to also integrate, as it were, the employee benefits that an employee brings to the organization, and where, of course, RPAs need to be deployed again. Another instance is artificial intelligence and machine learning, which I will not speak particularly. Cloud computing, cybersecurity, data and database management, infrastructure, which is, I think, like the bedrock or the core of any IT strategy. Internet of Things, networks, robotics, software. There are quite a number of aspects of facets where IT could be involved with the business to better and to remodel, as it were, the disorganized and the disconnected processes. So I'll just take, for instance, digital transformation. Yeah, another buzzword that is talked about in various boardrooms and in various executive meetings. And what I'll mention some of the pillars that I have cited or that I have singled out over time that make up for digital transformation. Yeah. So first, for instance, there is IT uplift, one of the important pillars, and this goes hand in hand with IT, rather infrastructure. So there is, over the years, the need for businesses to modernize their existing IT. And of course, the benefits that come with that is that you have flexible platforms and ecosystems of tools, yeah, which is very, very important for your working model. Yeah, and the capabilities here that you will require from a team is, of course, IT architects, DevOps teams, and some change management to enable this work effectively. But then again, even within the business, there is need to collaborate with some of the C-suite executives. And herein we have the CTOs, who are the chief transformation officers or technology officers, as it were, and CIOs. So even at organizational level, you might realize that there is lots of collaboration that is actually involved. And of course, some of the KPIs, key performance indices, that will be appearing under IT uplift will be, having new tools that users could use, yeah, reduced costs, yeah, with the aim of making things very cost efficient, yeah. Again, brings me back again to the norm that IT is a cost center, yeah, and now here people are able to reduce costs and be cost conscious, while at the same time looking at value for money or return on investments. Of course, improved capabilities and employee satisfaction. IT uplift is majorly and hugely involved in the entire internal clientele, yeah. And the second pillar, as it were, is digitizing operations, yeah. And of course, here is where you have to relook at your business models, yeah, and optimizing on that existing business models. And of course, there are various ways, of course, I will mention later or as we progress, yeah, on how you can do some of these things and are digitizing operations. But some of the benefits that you set to incur and optimizing your operations are cost reduction, efficiency, optimization, which are very important for you as a business, yeah, and the capabilities that you require, some of the people that you need to bring on board, business processes knowledge, yeah, you need to have a good knowledge and a good grasp of your internal processes, and also change management, because change always is inevitable as you go by. So as you might realize, IT, especially under IT uplift, under digitizing operations, there is need more often than not to understand your processes. Yeah, it could be processes under particular business units or function units within the organization. So a good grasp of that, a good grasp of knowledge about the processes is very needful for you to be able to, revolutionize some changes within and optimize optimize the processes I mentioned. And of course, herein you will collaborate with many C-suite executives or sponsors. That includes the chief financial officer and the chief operations officer, because with the CFO, IT, by the way, I think I really love collaborating with our CFO in the company I work for, because at all times before you deploy any IT or technology solution, yeah, you have to be cost conscious. Yeah, it must have been captured prior in the budget. You need to know where the business might be hurting, because again, if you deploy something that is very expensive that the business cannot be able to bear, yeah, because technology is not all about deploying fancy stuff. It's about deploying relevant, usable and reusable solutions in your environment. So with digitizing operations, where you also intend to reduce costs, you will collaborate with at various levels with the CFO. And of course, some of the KPIs are saving in time, people, money, and improved customer satisfaction, which is both internal and external facing. Another thing is digital marketing and new ventures, which I will not speak about at length, but you do realize with each and every one of these models or facets of IT, there is great collaboration at length, both internally with C-suite sponsors and also externally with customers. So I know a lot of you are asking, how then do you bring about, some organization or connection of processes, putting in place processes that are organized and connected, because at some point you might realize that things are a bit haphazard. So where do you start? Where do you, where do you bring everyone on board so that you can redefine your processes, you can relook at your strategy, your metrics, your organization, governance, processes, and technology? But I think some of the two very critical questions one must needs ask is, especially for customer-facing approach, of course, is what makes a good customer experience? Yeah, and internally, what makes a good user experience? Yeah, for your end users within the organization or company. Yeah, and what impact do you is there available, and how do you measure that kind of impact? Yeah, so again, I think it's very important for businesses and CIOs to capture the voice of the customer in the quest of answering these two pronged questions. Yeah, the customer experience, what makes for a good customer experience, and how to be very impactful in the market with your customer, and how do you measure that impact? Yeah, so you need to capture the voice of the customer, as it were. And I think I have learned out of experience that it's good for CIOs to sit in customer review meetings and listen diligently to the customer, what their needs are, identify gaps that do exist in the processes. How do you deploy certain technologies to enable, bridge some of these gaps and improve on the customer satisfaction? Getting that feedback is very important. And I think it is a hook if a customer actually realizes that you have more interest for them, even at heart. Another thing is engagement with other executives. Today, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, it's interesting that initially we had, ADs and BCs. Now we have pre-pandemic and post-pandemics. But the thing is, pre and post-pandemic, many organizations have been now restructuring, coming up with interesting strategies on how to go about their businesses, because it's not business as usual. So it's very important also for CIOs or IT executives to be here in very, very involved, having excellent boardroom skills, so that you're able to, as the company is defining its vision, that you're also able to bring about the technology aspect of it, and making it the central pillar of it, so that businesses, as it were, will evolve with the evolving needs of the market out there, which of course is good technological processes. And of course, technology is at the center of customer satisfaction. So customer centricity, ensuring that with every technology deployed, with every solution that is being modeled, that you want to achieve, as it were, customer satisfaction. Yeah, everyone is looking at high profit margins, but you also want to look at customer satisfaction, user satisfaction also internally, and be able to provide the best, as it were, in the market. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know I might speak at length concerning this particular subject, but I'd like to bring it home in this wise, that business and IT collaboration presently is very key and very important for you to stay abreast or ahead in a market, having to understand what business model your company is involved in. Yeah, do your own research, do more or less like an introspection or of how technology can be important or innovation can be brought about to either boost the business, make the experience of the users better, and the whatnot. So IT and business collaboration, as I mentioned, is very key, now and will always be key moving forwards. So thank you very much for listening to me. I know there might be very many questions. I'm hopeful that we will have yet another more time to catch up and be able to explore more and more of this. So thank you.
Thank you for the fantastic session, Praveen. It brings me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Amit Kumar Saxena, CIO of Ramco Plexus, Ramco Group Premium. Amit has a vast experience in digital and business transformation, his career spanning over 22 years in the regions of Africa and India. And he has great experience with ERP implementation, project management. So with this experience, he'll be talking upon transformation through change today. Over to you, Amit.
Hello, everyone. Myself, Amit Saxena. I'm a CIO in Ramco Flexus. And today I'm really excited to present this topic because this is one of the favorite topic in my career. And last 10 years, I'm very closely working on this digital transformation area. So therefore, I have a lot of learning. I have some experience in terms of implementation, maintain, support, and same time to improve our business process as well. So I would like to go through this presentation, okay, and then we have to speak in terms of whatever the focus area in between. So in the first slide, I just want to present the agenda. So in agenda, we are just taking 5 points, which is important for the digital transformation. So I just want to quickly give you the update. Like I just want to introduce in terms of the digital transformation of the basics. The second thing, why digital transformation is required. Then the third is strategy roadmap, and then the business benefit and before and after. So quickly, I just want to go on the next thing in terms of the introduction. So in terms of the introduction, like digital transformation is basically it's not a very technology oriented. It's like a people, organization, and change. So whenever you are going in an organization, that people is important. Organization is also, taking care of that people, and then the change management. So these are the 3 parts is important for the digital transformation. Therefore, it's like a cultural change. It's like a engagement, continuous improvement, something like that. So therefore, digital transformation is not like a IT project. It's like a continuous improvement for that. And then the moment you are having that maturity in the business level, then you have to start the step by step. And it's not like a paperless office work or something like that. It's like, to improve each and every area in the business. Okay. And you're always ready for the change. Your mindset is always open for that. So if you have this type of skill set, if you are ready for this challenge, then I think this thing is going successful, no doubt at all. So today I just want to give you again the overall strategy in terms of the transformation, and then how we can engage the organization to adopt this technology, to adopt this change and improve further. So in the next slide, I would like to give you the why digital transformation is important. It's not like optional thing in nowadays, because after COVID pandemic, like we have to go through this digital transformation journey. And digital transformation journey is not like 1 year, 2 year, it's like continuous improvement. So if you see John Chambers also from Cisco, they are also mentioning that at least 40% of the business will die in next 10 years if they don't figure out how to change their entire company. So change entire company does not mean changing in terms of the machines and all this stuff, changing in terms of the technology, changing in terms of the digital transformation. So wherever it's possible, we have to adopt the technology. And adoption is not like only one area. Adoption is across the organization, across all the functions. Okay. Then again, we have to go through the case study. We have to see the manufacturing area, how we can improve on the digital transformation. We have to go on the people side, like HR side, how we can see that people engagement. We have to go through this change through the digital. Then the same thing like security and customer experience. So if you can see in my right hand side, I just highlight the 4 major pillars in the organization where digital transformation is mandatory. Like there is no other option at all. Second thing, like if you're not going to adopt digital transformation, then it's a big risk for the organization. Okay, and risk in terms of degrowth, risk in terms of absolute in the market, risk in terms of you are outdated completely. Because nowadays digital transformation is mandatory, and therefore you have to start your journey step by step to adopt the new technology, to improve our customer engagement, to improve our productivity, to drive better IT security policy, to drive better decision making system in the organization level, so that you have a proper growth in the business. And second thing, you always on the market, you are not going to obsolete at all. So these are, I think, the region that is influencing you, that the region is forcing you to start the digital transformation journey. And the journey started from the top. Like if you see, the moment the top management will agree that yes, we have to take this change. There are some risks. There are some, I can say like some area is very high risk, some area is low risk, some is very medium. So again, these are the area we always know on the business. But when we are starting, that is the major decision in the business level. So I think the moment top management is ready, then automatically middle and the junior people are starting this engagement and that cultural change. So this is the reason the digital transformation is very, very important. Moving on the next, again, the focus area, which is the strategy roadmap. So again, digital transformation is not as I mentioned in my previous slide as well, it's not a year or 2 year journey. It's like a 5 year, 10 years. So 5 year is like a LRP, like long run planning, something like that, where you have to plan year by year, what is the area you are going to address. So I'm just putting 10-step digital transformation roadmap, which steps you need to perform, where you have to drive further on the strategy side. And strategy and the roadmap is always, link each other, where you can secure full support from the senior management, which is very important. The strategy will not even go success if there is no support from the top management. Set ambition goals means the goals will be achievable, not a impossible goal in that level. Second thing, allocation and funding. Again, the budgeting, the cost, because when you are moving on digitalization like IoT, AI, RPA, these are the area where you have to need to spend money. So you have to have a proper IT budget, proper CapEx, proper OpEx, and same time you have to prove the ROI to the management. So the moment you have all this information readily available, then the management is also going to convince with you, and then you can start, to your journey toward the digital transformation. Then the grow the culture. Again, in cultural, like, you have part some small seminar, small meetings where you have to highlight the importance of the digital transformation and start, giving some training, external, internal training, so that the end user and the middle management is also understand that thing, why this is important. And then they are coming as a win-win situation. Like it's not like the only top management is going to influence on this area. The each and every person in the organization, they have to have in this level. So introduce the new workflow, like always trying to start, the new things in a different manner. Okay, where you can make things easy, you can make things more transparent, more visualized, Okay, appoint a launch team. Like you have some project team where they can start this journey continuously. So each and every project have a different team. Okay, and that team will monitor this project end to end, and time to time they have to update on the top management as well. So, and the starting is always a case study involved as a ambition goal in terms of lightning project, like how we can start, snowball, build your capability, adopt agile methodology. So overall level, I think this is journey, let's say 5 to 10 years. But each and every year you have to measure that where we are standing in the market level, like how much percentage automation we have, how much percentage overall digital transformation we are already adopt. So I think these are the area we have to fine tune and we have to test time to time so that we are not missing anything based on the planning, based on the overall goal for the organization. And again, this goal linked to the business priority as well. So therefore, I think it's important to know all this strategy and the roadmap. So now I'm going on the next my agenda point. So again, like based on my 5 year experience, I plan like before digital transformation or after digital transformation. So if you can see, there are areas like sales automation, sales transformation, Salesforce automation. So now before that, if you remember, most of the people know that there is no Salesforce automation. So you have to go manually, start monitoring the data, start capturing the data, start placing the order. So it's very painful. It's not easy at all. So before and after, there is a huge improvement in the life. And again, this it's like a journey for the digital transformation journey in terms of making customer more comfort, giving more easy adoption, more easy information, more easy decision making, and same time you are saving a lot of time as well. Increase the efficiency, like the sales and the sales team efficiency also will improve. And again, like real time basis information is available. So I think these are the basic difference between the before and after journey in the digital transformation. However, we have many other case study, but I would like to give only on this area. In terms of overall business benefit, I just want to highlight only 4 major areas. And if you want to go detail, there are a lot of other things inside the business benefit. Okay, but I just want to say the continuously relevancy, more agency, improve customer engagement, automation. These are 4 are very, very important area. The moment you start this journey, and then you will realize that yes, a lot of automation is improved. So your fixed labor or cost, your FH will be going more controlling manner. Your customer engagement, like through CRM, through information, customer is more improved. Customer service is more efficient manner. You can improve also on that area. Secondly, customer can place the order at any point of time. So I think these are the overall benefit where you see the customer level. Okay, and again the cultural and engagement score is also improved a lot. So I think this is the overall my topic today, and I think I explained as much as possible. And I really thankful to the CIO 200 Summit for giving me this opportunity to present with all of you. Okay, and thank you very much for the time. Okay.
Thank you for the great insights, Amit. Now we move on to the Power Pack panel discussion, and I would like to hand over the stage to Fahim Ali, CTO of Elite East Africa. He will be the moderator for the panel discussion on speaking on ambition versus challenge, how the CIOs in 2022 are embarking upon the journey of fearless leadership.
Hi, everyone. So this is a Global CIO 200 Summit, and we are all here. It's a wonderful panel discussion, which we will start now. The topic, as you all know, is the ambitious versus challenges, and how this 2022 CIOs are embarking upon the journey of fearless leadership while tackling the financial and geographical and managerial challenges. We have a wonderful panel with us, and I will request them to also, introduce themselves. But let me start with me. So I'm Fahim Ali, Chief Technology Officer in Elite Digital in East Africa. I'm based in Kenya here and Nairobi. And with me, there are a number of experts from the different part of Africa. And I will request them to also introduce themselves. starting from Dixon. Dixon, can you please introduce yourself in a minute or two?
Yes, please. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm excited and privileged to be associated with the Global CIO Forum, and especially being a panelist for the African Forum. My name is Dixon Korte. I'm an IT enterprise solution developer with over 20 years working experience in IT, working from both the fintechs and also from a universal banking perspective. My core expertise are in solution architecture, systems integration, so systems integrations, IT infrastructure, electronic core banking systems, and project management, for which I have an MBA in. In the year 2017, I was appointed head of IT for GTL Bank, where in 18 months, I transformed the bank into creating a universal IT infrastructure, and also deploying a core banking system with a digital channel, as well as a switch, a Visa switch. In the year 2020, I took the opportunity I was employed in First National Bank as an IT operations manager. And in the last 2 years, I've channeled my energies into cloud technologies, where I have a number of AWS certifications to show for it. Thank you.
Wonderful, very vast experience in technology, banking, and the way you have worked in overall in pandemic also. Very good to hear from you, Mr. Dixon. So we will definitely learn from you. Madam Pink in pink background, Madam Esther. Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Fahim. First of all, it's a pleasure to join the World CIO Summit 2022 edition. So my name is Esther Adem. I am a digital transformation specialist working with one of the largest NGOs in the world to support and spearhead the digital financial strategies, basically to the underserved communities, just to ensure that the financial inclusion is also, I also drive financial inclusion to the communities that are deemed underserved. So for me, I have vast experience in the digital financial services sector, also through implementation of digital channels. So whether that is M-Pesa in my previous work, or Oracle ERP systems, or implementing digital items such as the mobile push and pull services and other digital applications that are mainly used for the field activities.
Yeah, Esther, wonderful experience. Digital transformation. This is a new world for so many organizations. And yes. I'm very much happy to hear that BRAC International is actually doing the digital transformation in their businesses, digitizing the businesses, bringing the mobile services, which is much needed in the financial inclusion or in inclusive finance growth part, and to also, do the outreach. So good to hear, and we will be definitely learning more from you, Esther. So
yes,
Karibu in this.
Thank you.
In this forum. Next, Mr. Nilsson.
Thanks for him. Very excited to be here with us for the World CIO 200 Summit. My name is Nelson Luther, also commonly known as OJ among colleagues, associates. I'm also a digital transformational practitioner, having been in the digital space for the last 5 years. Currently, I work with a company known as Apollo Agriculture, which is an agri-tech startup out of Nairobi, Kenya, working with smallholder farmers, trying to give them access to the inputs that they need to be able to be successful farmers. My background is, however, in engineering. So my educational background is in petroleum engineering. But as I've mentioned, I've been in the digital transformation space over the last couple of years. My experience has been unique and interesting. I've had the opportunity to work with businesses and entities within financial services, within e-commerce, and within social causes. So working with companies such as ICA Lion across East Africa, Prudential Life Assurance in Uganda, Kasha in Kenya and Rwanda, as well as Oxfam in Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. Very excited to have this opportunity with you colleagues. I know you have an interesting topic that we're about to discuss. So just to be able to share ideas, connect with others, and then grow as we engage further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelson. Apollo Agric is definitely a very good organization, as I know, and they are working very well in agric, bringing the agric tech. And I'm sure with your customer engagement and the other services, including the AI, machine learning, which you are doing with the agric tech, is the way, in the agric field in Africa. And we will definitely learning more from you that how we reach through tech to number of farmers and to the different, markets. So thank you so much, Nelson. Pleasure to be connected with you here in this forum. Mr. Steve.
Thank you very much, Fahim. Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Omar, the Head Information Services and Technology at NCI Insurance, Nigeria. I have a vast experience across various industries, from banking to public sector, then to telecommunications, and now I'm currently championing digital transformation in the insurance sector. I believe it will be a worthwhile experience here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Steve. We will definitely learn more from you in your InsurTech and again the banking experience also in this forum. And we look forward to chatting more in this forum. Let me start with the panel questions, and definitely these questions are not easy, panelists. So these are the key questions which everyone has in their mind, and definitely we'll be discussing on this one. And I'm sure that at the end, the delegates will learn that, what ambitious versus challenges we can bring, in the forum. So let me start with Dixon first. So Mr. Dixon, attracting and retaining the top tech talent is a big challenge right now amongst the all CIA and the IT leaders. The pool is becoming narrow and becoming small every time as we go, and again, retaining the talent is also a challenge. And again, hiring the top rated talent is also a challenge. There was a very good article which was published by the telecommunication that how we can retain, the person and how we can actually hire, how we can all jointly work together in this particular area and then, help each other. So what do you think, how to retain or how to find top rated tech talents in this market? Mr. Dixon.
Thank you very much, Ali. The question is actually a timeless challenge for all ages. I mean, we would answer it today, tomorrow it needs to be answered. Stats show that depending on the size of the company, actually, it will cost you about $3,000 to $4,000 to hire a new recruit, a new staff. There is also stats in the HR field to show that the actual cost of a resignation of a staff is about 2 times the annual salary of the staff. So yes, it's true. It's an issue that firms have to deal with. In general, a firm that has the culture of attracting, of growing people's careers, have the culture and tradition to grow people's careers, will find it easy to attract and retain staff and top talented IT staff, which means that the firm has the ability to make sure that as part of their culture, they train staff for new skills and give them new opportunities and challenges, because that's the reason why a lot of people will leave one firm to the another just because of lack of training opportunities and new challenges. And also, if you look at it in terms of the long term, any company that wants to actually have the ability to retain staff in the long term must have a strategic approach, must deliberately work towards a strategy in ensuring that they give people new skills, new training for new skills and new challenges so that they can grow in them. Now, depending on the type of company you have, the complexity is quite different. The reward schemes also follow alongside. So, for example, if you are in a straitjacket company, like, for example, a fintech, the reward schemes are easy to manage in the short term to attract new staff and also to retain new staff. But it becomes more complex if you are in a group or a large corporation with many business units under it. For example, I remember in my time at GHL Bank as head of IT, as part of my KPIs, one of the things I was supposed to do in the first year was to build a tier 3 data center. That was in 2017 and 18. I told them, I managed to convince the escrow that, look, the cost for building a tier 3 data center is about $1.2 million. We had a bid and we've gone through as we have everything. It's about $1.2 million. Now we can do a co-location and pay far less. So I put together a case and I managed to convince the escrow to go with me to do a co-location data center option. And in the 3 years, we spent less than $150,000, which was a huge cost saving. But if you look at it, it becomes very difficult for you to be rewarded because you're an investor bank. How do you reward the treasury staff? How do you reward the retail staff or the high business corporates who also brought in big deals? Can you just say because IT did this cost saving, so you give IT a percentage? So the dynamics are quite different depending on the type of organization you work with. And finally, to say that as a CIO or as an IT leader, your personality has a lot to do with retaining staff under you. If you're able to give them, if you have a very good relationship with them and also able to give them a more flexible working scheme, so that when there are projects that are timelines to deliver, they can work extra hours to deliver. But when they are less busy, you allow them to have a more flexible working time. That also encourages too your integrity as a CIO, and also the fact that they can trust you to deliver your promises is key. Unfortunately, trust cannot be instructed. It is earned over time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. You are indeed very right. And that's why 69% of the companies in the IT tools companies, and again, the IT people, actually they leave their job because of advancing their skills. Learning is definitely, as you said, is essential for the tech talent because you need to continuously giving the learning. Most of the exit interviews, if you do with the IT, they always say that we want to learn something new. And then agility of being an up-to-date and with the rapidly changing workplace and technology landscape, definitely you cannot retain. But definitely there is something which we can work all together as a tech leader, as a CIO, and to see, how we can retain internal staff. And there should be a very good career path also, as you said, which need to be there in the learning new skills so that you retain your staff. I'm 100% agree with you, Mr. Dixon. Thank you so much for sharing your feedback. With the same question, Esther, to you also, definitely, retaining top tech talent is a challenge for the CIOs or IT leaders. But in today's IT leaders also no longer focusing on solely on security within their own four walls. So in my own four walls, I'm thinking about security, which is firewalls, which is this and that, IT trainings and IT security trainings, but they are expanding more on the protection to include employees' workplace. Employees now also working in hybrid. Hybrid means sometimes they are here, sometimes they are there, especially the tech leaders. So how also we retain and also address the security concerns? I'm sure as in Bragg International is a big company, you are already looking after the 11 countries, you yourself. So how you are maintaining the security concerns, how you are maintaining the workplaces with the mobile devices, bringing your own devices, security reasons and all that. What do you think? Maybe you can answer both questions, like how we can retain as people are working now in the hybrid mode, and what should be the security concerns for all of us also in this particular era where we are working in hybrid mode. Esther.
Yes. Thank you very much. We can just kick off first of all with how to ensure that the security measures are put in place. And I'll just base my explanation on three main bucket items, which is on the people, the process, and the technology that we have. So I think you've also just mentioned about training. We cannot underscore the importance of training, especially now that people are working in hybrid and others are purely working in the office or at home. So still training is a very key important element, especially looking at the endpoints that our employees have, whether it's on the email, the web, or the different endpoints such as their mobile phones. So one of the key items that also BRAC tends to do is to ensure that, for example, if one of our staff members needs to go to the field, number one of the items you're provided for is a gadget specifically for the organization, where it's tied to just specific items that can only reach through the organization. So you can't find a staff logging into the various social media channels or just exposing company data in any shape or form. So that is a very important aspect for any organization that's able to afford, because I'm also very cognizant of the fact that there are some companies that might not actually be able to dish out different gadgets from what the employees have. The other item is mainly on the classification of data, which is a very important element, in that we should be able to know as an organization that this type of data we classify it as C4, for example, is high priority or very sensitive, meaning this specific information, I cannot be able to forward it or share it aimlessly with any other person. So that kind of protects the various information that we have as an organization, whether somebody works in the office or hybrid or wherever they may be. The other aspect I will speak about is still on security culture. What is the type of culture you have in the organization? This one also speaks now to retaining of employees within the organization. We have seen time and again where you find, for example, an employee reports a breach of security or a breach of information within the organization. And time again, either they're the ones to be fired, so they don't feel secure. So what kind of practices do you have as an organization to ensure that people feel secure and people feel safe to protect the organization's information? And you can also have small things like, even when you're having the trainings, let's have them a bit more fun, whether you can also gamify them, because in the past it's been said, cybersecurity, it's so boring to learn. It's always looking so serious. So why can't we find other exciting ways of engaging our employees so that they feel also part and parcel of understanding that the importance of having information taken care of, not as just as an organization, but also as an employee. The minute we involve the employees together in ensuring that they understand the importance of keeping our organizational information secure, then they'll also feel part and parcel of it, and they'll want to take care of it. That's what happens in most situations. The other element to it is, of course, on the technology itself. For example, small technologies that we can deploy, such as adding the layers in which you're able to access information, the organizational information, multi-factor authentication, in that at least as an employee, I know by the time I'm logging into a specific system within my computer, I have gone through layers and layers. Of course, not too many, because we also don't want to bring a lot of bureaucracy, but ensuring that there's that level of comfort, knowing that even if my gadget is stolen today, the company information is still intact. And also, last but not least, is on cyber hygiene. For example, as an organization, do the staff feel secure, or do they feel comfortable knowing that the systems they use are protected? Are they also comfortable knowing that the systems they use, whichever partners that you have come up with or you have had with organizations, that these partners are what should you say? They also cater for they understand the breach that may occur in case you deploy solutions that are not well taken care of. So those are some of the elements that even me as an employee, I would want to be keen on, so that as I work, I know I'm feeling secure, my customers' information is secure, and also the organization information is secure. So definitely those are some of the items that you'll actually find that they feed into also ensuring that as an employee, I'm happy to remain in this organization because I know they ensure that information is kept well and safe. So those are some of the items I will highlight.
Wonderful points which you have highlighted, Esther. Especially a few points I really liked it. The PPT version, people, process, and technology. But right now, most of the tech leaders are actually doing TPP. First bring technology, and then to make the processes, and then to tell people that this is what we have now. But definitely, PPT version is the best, as you said, which we need to do. Securing information in a different way is also a wonderful idea which we have shared, like not in a boring way, as you said, like the bringing everyone in the classroom and then telling them that, oh, guys, listen, don't need to change the password, you don't need to share, but telling them more that why the password is important or why the security elements are important, why the information is important. I really like the way you said, and also because this is also touching on the regulatory compliance. Because, for example, as you are in Uganda or in Kenya, both countries we have, Data Protection or Privacy Act, which the financial institutions are also, working on these items. So definitely on these areas of Protection Act or Data Protection Act, we also need to protect internal information. That how we can bring it more secure. And financial inclusion always talks about the client confidentiality and also the data privacy. So it is indeed a very good area where we have captured most of these points. And the last, as you said, employee engagement is wonderful because if you are not doing employee engagement, definitely you cannot work on these areas. With the same as you have covered, Madam Esther, so I would like to ask Steve on the similar relation, because as much as we are going on the security part, cloud security is also one of the elements, and cloud transformation is also one of the elements. Our experts wouldn't describe cloud transformation as a challenge, because everyone wants to go in cloud security or cloud transformation because this is an opportunity. It's not like the old way of handling, the systems and all that. So definitely, indeed, the enterprises across, like finances or manufacturing companies or retail, they would like to go, the cloud and the cloud services. So Steve, what do you think on this cloud transformation and how the companies are looking at cloud transformation area? Steve.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fahim, for that question. I would like to say that cloud security is just a subset of what you tend to achieve with cloud transformation. Okay, so cloud transformation is quite different. Cloud transformation delves deeper into the modernization and optimization of a company's data management, analytics, and of course, cybersecurity to align with the overall digital strategy of the organization. Touch on some of the mentioned strategy where we have to ensure that the IT strategy properly aligns with the business strategy. Okay, then we have the cloud migration itself. So you could see that distinctively there's a difference between cloud transformation, cloud migration, and cloud security. Migration being one of the subsets of cloud transformation. So you also have data and analytics. Okay, you also have cloud security. Then you have optimization and management. But I would like to take out some time and talk about some of these components one after the other. Then for strategy, strategy is one of the components of cloud transformation. Okay, and I said under strategy, you will have to define strategic objectives. You have to evaluate your applications and processes, cost estimates, and financial planning. You need to understand security, governance, risk, and compliance. You need to create an execution roadmap, which is where you decide exactly how you need to carry out your cloud migration. You need to gain cross-functional company-wide buy-in, because if you don't have executive buy-in, it will be very difficult for you to execute whatever you have itemized in your roadmap. Therefore, the migration itself, it becomes very imperative to select a cloud provider. There are so many things to be considered, okay, before selecting a suitable cloud provider. Like I always say, it's also very important to establish the level of digital maturity of the organization. You need to carry out a gap assessment to determine which applications have already been migrated to the cloud and which ones haven't, so that you're able to establish dependencies. You're also supposed to, take a closer look the governance framework within your organization? What are the regulatory requirements? For instance, I'm aware that some data protection regulations may not, allow you to host sovereign data locally, or may allow you to host it as the case may be. So these are some of the things that should be considered for migration. You may also consider using accelerator tools that will fast track, your cloud migration exercise. Then for data and analytics, I think I had mentioned it earlier, where you leverage advanced cloud-based analytics, for easy decision making. Okay, they give out this data, express them in various graphical formats, bar charts, pie charts, whichever one best, represents data in a good way that you can consume it for decision making. And then you also have security. I talked a little bit about security before, where you have to conduct a security assessment. This is very important to determine cloud security posture. So you need to know the security posture of your environment. That will now determine some of the areas where you need to pay attention to in your cloud migration activity. You need to consider the governance risk and compliance in doing this. You need to also consider software development life cycle. If you need to consider that you practice what is popularly called secure coding in terms of integrating applications, in a cloud environment. You need to consider identity and access management strategy, who will access what and how. This is also very key. And then I would like to also talk about continuous auditing. It's important to continuously audit your, cloud environment to identify new vulnerabilities, if any. Then finally, I would like to talk about optimization and management. It's important to manage cloud consumption, okay? So the resources you have on the cloud, do you just set up your cloud environment such that all the resources are fully allocated, or do you allocate it on a case-by-case basis, on a need-be basis, okay? So that is where managing consumption comes in. Allocate what is needed at a particular time to also save cost, managing capacity, managing performance and cost. Ultimately, this is going to happen under optimization and management. And then we also have what we call SLA-driven governance and built-in security compliance. These are all the optimization activities that will be incorporated into the overall, cloud transformation activity. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, Steve. Very good answer, and very good also on the strategy which you have shared with the tech leaders. And I can just repeat, as you said, first of all, we need to do the strategic objective, as you said. It's so important that first we need to identify what are our strategic objectives, what are our financial plans, how the security governance will work. And definitely we need to get the executive buy-in, because if we are not getting the buy-in from the others, then definitely cloud transformation will not work. And as you said, also continuous risk assessment or continuous auditing is also important, because as much as you are on cloud, definitely, the security part also matters. Yes, the cloud computing is the center of the digital transformation in every organization, and the enterprises really thinking on the cloud strategy, and they are enabling, the company on the digital capabilities, trying to reach out to the more customers. Businesses, processes, advantages are more in the cloud, definitely, but there's a risk, as you also said, and which we need to also, cater. So there is a pros and there's a cons also, and we definitely need to go with the cloud transformation strategy before we move on with, our overall agenda on the cloud. Similarly, with this also, Nelson, people are moving on the cloud security, but definitely as an IT department, as an IT team, we really need to first of all see our system architect. What is the architectural system which we have in our tech, and how the CIOs are working with the opportunity of redeveloping their IT effort in the areas of the enterprise or organizations or businesses wherever they are working, rather than the help desk. So most of the organizations IT teams are considered as a help desk team. IT, oh, there's a system problem, call IT team. So all of them actually consider IT as more of a help desk team. But in IT right now is no longer as in back office, kind of a staff. That if the problem occurs, then IT team only will. IT is now part of the business. Without IT, the business cannot run, or without the IT strategy, the business cannot, make. So strategic problem solving, customer engagement, everything comes or touch with the IT or information technology areas. What are your part? Because you are already in customer engagement services, and also you are in agric also. So how the strategic problem solving areas with the CIO should keep in mind to expand their IT responsibilities and overall customer engagement also. That's it.
Yeah, great question for him. I think Steve mentioned a really important item, which is digital maturity. So for IT needs in different companies, the scale and maturity is different. We have places where we have CIOs, we have CTOs, we have entire product teams. But allow me to begin with saying, if this was 3 to 5 years ago, we'd definitely be doing this in person. But then the way technology has continued to move and the reliance of technology on everyday life for consumers and businesses, as well as the increasing need of businesses to put their customers front and center, means that CIOs now increasingly find themselves in a position where you have to accommodate the two. You have to figure out how you utilize your technology to reconcile business and consumer needs and building on the resulting opportunities. In Kenya, for example, at the moment, 98% of all adults have access to a mobile phone. At the same time in Kenya, about 76% of all Kenyans have access to electricity. So whether you're in a village somewhere in Turkana or you're by the beach in Watamu, wherever you are, you have access to the electricity company. And as a customer of the electricity company, you are able to access their support, whether it's by calling their toll-free line, whether it's by utilizing USSD, whether it's by utilizing the application, or even engaging them online on social media. As a result, if you're a business operating in Kenya, this is the minimum service expectations that your customers have, that they should be able to access you wherever you are by these channels as a bare minimum. So regardless of the product or service you're providing, regardless of the scale you're at or the constraints, these are the expectations that your customers have. And the expectation is that the interaction is two-way. It's not just from a customer support perspective, but also it's from a perspective where your customers can be able to access your products or self-access your products. They can be able to self-manage existing products and or services. During the pandemic, I had the opportunity to work with ICLN Group in East Africa, and we're trying to solve a huge business problem using digital transformation. So within the insurance space, within this region, insurance penetration is only at about 3%. So to be able to solve this, we had to open up new market segments, and we looked at opening new demographics to start with. One of the demographics we looked at was the youth, so especially youth in the urban areas, so that particular demographic, and look at their need for them to keep up with the fast and ever-changing lifestyle that's happening all over the world, and the existing financial gaps that didn't serve them. So we looked internally at the existing money market fund product that we had as a company, and figured out how to reposition this product to connect to this demographic and to make it relevant to that demographic. The result was we were able to build a really cool product, a really cool savings product that we call DigiTrust, which allowed that demographic to self-sign up and open an account immediately, down from just 2 to 7 days previously. All the customer needed was internet access, and they could use their phones to sign up. More than that, we allowed them to be able to manage their account on WhatsApp, utilizing our WhatsApp chatbot. The end result of this was we were able to generate about $1 million in revenue in the first 6 months. And this was a significant lesson for us to be able to bridge that gap of access in insurance within this region. For me, I think the thing that I took about was our ability to be able to segment our customer and to understand them was the first way to be able to engage them in a way that allowed us to scale the business problem. And I think for CIOs, the question is, how do we find opportunities to utilize the technology that we know we can have access to bridge gaps for businesses, even outside of our core system architecture that we currently have? Back to you, Fahim.
Thank you so much. I really like this DigiTrust. I think I need to connect with you one-to-one to understand how this DigiTrust really works. And I'm sure Esther will be also interested to hear more on this digital, the way you are working on this one. So see, guys, this is the way the tech leaders are thinking, that how we engage the customers, how we think, beyond our day-to-day IT related, day-to-day digital transformation related, day-to-day CIOs related, or day-to-day tech leaders related activities, which is more of a help desk related activities which we are doing, and thinking beyond that one, and supporting, the companies. I remember most of the tech leaders, are still, when the IT project comes, they say that I'm only the IT manager from the quality assessment point of view. No, my friend, you are now the tech leader, so you actually can lead us that how we can, serve the tech in the area where, we can understand the overall situation, because we understand more than the normal individual in the company. We understand more from the operational side. I remember some of the IT tech leaders actually understand more than the finance people, because they know that how the charts of accounts are being done and all that. So very good point, Nelson, and I'm sure that this is the way the future is going on. Let me see if there is any audience questions which we have. Yes, we do have 2 audience questions. So let me divide these 2 questions with the 4 panelists. So I can start with the first question. Listen, this is actually touching on your last point also. So let me start with you first, because this is also touching on the way you just said. So it is saying that securing annual funding, definitely annual funding and managing departmental budget are always a challenge. So yes, you have so much ideas, as you had the idea on DigiTrust, but assume you don't have any money. Assume the executives, as Steve also said, you need to get the buy-in from the executives also. And assume they don't have any budget. And however, the service as you are using, the outsourcing or digitizing and operations, competition in the talent and all that, you really need the money also as a CIO or an IT team. So how do we convince our senior or executives on the budget related matter? How did you actually convince your executives? And maybe you can give us some tips so that we can note it down.
Yeah, thanks for him, and good question from the audience. I think as leaders, we're increasingly, and actually as people in the world we're in 2022, we're increasingly in a position where information is everywhere. I believe as CIOs, the onus is on us to separate the wheat from the chaff and get customer insight. Being able to align customer insight to business goals is the only way to convince executives on budget. And one way of doing this is through experimentation. At Apollo Agriculture, we operate in a seasonal environment in Kenya where we follow the rains. So for example, in the current year, following the long rains periods in 2022, we had a target of being able to get 200,000 farmers to purchase our product. My goal was to engage existing farmers to contribute to about 10% of this target. The main dilemma the business posed to me to be able to facilitate this was on budget allocation and budget prioritization towards my strategy. And the other questions around how do we manage CAC, and specifically, how do we prioritize spending on incentives versus marketing and acquisition efforts? What I was able to do to solve this was through experimentation. So I was quickly able to build a hypothesis and establish statistical significance on a subset of our customer base by engaging some of them. Through this experimentation, we're able to see double-digit percentage increase in results. And I was able to bring this back to the business. The business was able to get signed up on the actual proposed budget. And we were able to scale our efforts and actually bring the solution towards the season. This taught me very important things, I think. One, to be able to understand the customer base, to be able to quickly engage with them. How do we get certain segments of the customer base that are representative of the whole customers? And to be able to make sure that they participate as we are coming up with our solutions. And if we can be able to align this and get this insight to the business, then we're able to get the approvals that we need. So for me, I think the answer to our CIOs is without customer participation, we tend to lose a sense of accuracy and relevance with our solutions. So however, for ourselves, I think the most important thing would be agility and flexibility in strategy, decision-making, and execution, which would be critical. So one great way to get this is through experimentation. Thanks.
Wonderful points, Nelson. Definitely, you need to tell them that what is the roadmap of your strategy? How you will do as in double digit, as you said, how you will actually grow. In my experience, there was one IT head which I remember. He was bringing the budget of around almost 20 million Kenyan shillings. So, which was almost like in US dollar, it's almost like 20,000 US dollar. So 20,000 US dollar budget, and when we were saying how it will affect the business, he said, no, it will only secure my system. It will only bring in the cybersecurity elements which I want. And then again, if you see the business and the cybersecurity, it was both, talking to the different areas. But he was not giving the ideas on more of the business growth, the tech, how the tech will help actually the business and how, the engagement will work. Nelson, you also said that how the CX, the customer engagement, and the customer experience or the UX, the user experience, because the employee who is also working as a user, how this will also, marry with each other and then work with each other. Steve, you also said something about buy-in of the C-suits, how to get the buy-in from the C-suits. What is your experience? How you are getting the buy-in? Because, this is very difficult to get the buy-in on this kind of budget. So, Steve, what is your experience? Maybe you can shed some light on your experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Fahim. You will all agree with me that to a very large extent, businesses exist to make money, to make profit, to generate revenue, right? So, having said that, it's critical to note that the C-suite would like to know how the initiatives will help increase revenue. What value is it going to add? So that takes me to a very important, aspect of convincing the C-suite. You need to develop a business case. In your business case, you need to properly articulate the revenue potentials of your initiatives, how it's going to improve customer service, and all the values that that initiative are going to add. I'll give you an example of how I've broken this down. I've broken it down to 3 areas. You need to develop, you need to implement a software as a service, for example. Then it becomes important to demonstrate return on investment of the SaaS option over total cost of ownership of an on-premise option. These are some of the things that C-suite would like to see. If you are demonstrating a digitalization of operations, then it becomes also very important to demonstrate in a business case, like I mentioned earlier, the benefits of the digitalization program, detailing how it can drive significant revenue growth and how it can also significantly affect your time to market. Okay. Then if you are looking at it in terms of competition for talent, it becomes also very critical to demonstrate, okay, how valuable such talents are to the organization and how their skill sets can translate to improved customer service and increased revenue. So the C-suite are eager to know, in a very well articulated manner, especially in a business case, how those initiatives can translate to increase revenues, increase customer experience, increase time to market, and all of that. When you are able to, demonstrate this, then it becomes easier to get their buy-in. Nobody says no to initiatives that have great revenue potential. Thank you.
Indeed, Steve, I really, like the way you say. First of all, you really need to make the business case study. And this is what, the CIOs are lacking. Sometimes once you tell them business case study, they say, this is not my responsibility, it's the responsibility of the operations team. I am from IT. I don't have to make the business case study. I just need that money. That's my budget. And right now also we are in the month of August, and now in the month of September or October, we will start doing the activities on budget. And I will just highlight the list of IT equipment, devices, systems, solutions, that this is what I need, in my system. But definitely, as you said, we really need to work on the business case study. which more of the potentials in the business. What are the potentials we will bring in the business? What are the customer engagement, as you said, and all the value proposition, as you and Nelson also said, that how these need to come out very clearly in our business case studies. Because if you don't have the clear roadmap also in your mind, how you will convince others? You can't convince. You can't even convince your wife if you don't have a great mindset, first of all, to create understanding that really what you want. So definitely, as an C-suite, they will definitely ask you so many questions on this one. So with this, we have another public question also, Esther, which I would like to ask, which is actually correlating with this also, with budgeting. The question is that, what are the top challenges the CIOs are facing, the chief information officers or the tech leaders like you as a digital transformation specialist, or the other, leaders? What are the top challenges they are facing or tackling, on these challenges in 2022 or even beyond? One of the challenges we already talked about, budgeting. So other than that, maybe you can highlight what are the other challenges they are facing and they are tackling on this one. Esther.
Great question. It's good that the previous speakers have also touched one or two items. So these are definitely shared issues that we have across the globe and especially Africa. But one of the key challenges that I know CIOs face definitely is on what I'd call managing the digital assets, or what we'll say legacy assets. As you may see, when COVID hits, every organization, everyone was rushing to get the latest technology to allow their staff work either remotely or manage their day-to-day activities. So everyone was quickly rushing to buy the latest technologies. But now that I will say we are back to normal just a bit, some organizations have either abandoned those technologies, or they don't know what to do. Or sometimes because you bought so many of them, you don't know what is priority, or what we should leave behind, or what we should merge with whatever you used to do before. So that has been the main challenge that I've seen starting in 2021, going into 2022, and even maybe moving ahead. So what are some of the solutions we'll recommend? For example, I think even Steve touched on it on cloud, exploring storing infrastructure on cloud, and also ensuring we are better at asset management, and also guidance and governance on the assets that we currently have. So that as an organization, we know these are our priorities. And I love, for example, for BRAC currently, I think also Nelson touched on it when it comes to knowing your customer very well. Because there's no point for BRAC to buy certain technologies, yet when you look at our core clients are mostly women and youth, who most of them are interacting with some of these digital products for the first time in their lives. Some of them are seeing mobile phones when us as BRAC get to them and show them these various tools. So definitely there's no way that BRAC will come in and implement these high-tech solutions for clients who may not really understand. So the core element is to ensure that, first of all, we understand our clients, understand our customers, and in that way, we'll find ourselves purchasing or deploying solutions that are relevant and that can sustain the business in the long run. So that's one of the key challenges, but I believe with every challenge comes an opportunity, and the opportunity here is to make sure that we fully understand our target audience or our clients. The second challenge that I think we have constantly talked about here is mainly on people. We have all heard about the great resignation that's happening around, or talent poaching, especially in the technical field. You find today you've hired 10 developers, and tomorrow all of them have disappeared. So it's an ongoing challenge. Of course, there's no one-fits-all solution. But of course, we have discussed some of the items that you can definitely, as CIOs or transformational leaders, implement. For example, building capability. You find for the longest time, most technical people would work in silos. So if the business person comes with the business case, they just throw it to the technical person to create the solution. But what are we looking at right now? There's the agile ways of working, where even as a tech person, I'm able to sit with somebody from the business, whether it's finance, marketing, discuss those issues of budget. And even me as a tech person, I'll understand definitely here we require this amount of money. And it makes sense because from a finance perspective, these are the items that you need to focus on. So even as a tech person, I gain more skills. And you've even seen that right now, a lot of people within the IT space are also leaning towards learning more about the business. So it's not more of garbage in, garbage out as it was thought of in the past. Right now, it is very important, even as a tech person, to understand where does this product start from? Who is this target audience that you are reaching to? And you see, if I feel I am I'm able to reach various elements of the organization, chances of me leaving are low, because right now people are leaving. Of course, there's the issue of salaries, but right now it's to gain more knowledge or to become more aware about what's happening across the world. So as an organization, we can actually do that by building capabilities and also reducing the silos that we work in between. And also the last item, which I think we need to still consider, is implementing policies of digital or hybrid ways of working. Yes, we know when COVID hit, we were all struck and we decided to go home. And now what is happening? Some organizations are slowly telling their employees to come back to the office. And right now people are realizing that as long as I'm able to deliver wherever I am, then I should be able to stay within the organization. So many people are also leaving mainly because they don't have that flexibility to work or deliver or just give out their output wherever they are. So another element that we want to consider is allowing people to have that flexibility to work wherever they can as much as possible, because we are also cognizant of the fact that it's not available to every organization, but as much as we can, listen to these employees so that you're able to have that mix and understanding between employees and you as an organization. So those are some of the challenges, with a bit or a sprinkle of solution that you can put up as tech leaders. Back to you.
Thank you so much. This is wonderful, Esther. And as in from the transformation specialist, definitely the way you highlighted is the wonderful, especially in the microfinance or the financial inclusion areas, where you said that women and youth, is the key in so much on the technology which we are working, and how the CIOs are, facing these challenges. One of the things which I really liked, and I just want to put more words in that one, as you said, we bring more technology like high tech, in our organization. High touch is also very important, because this is also you don't have to depart from the customer engagement. So high tech and high touch, which is more, on the area. Mr. Dixon, I want to pass this question also to you, because you also highlighted the top tech, how to retain the top tech talent in the industry. So this is also one of I'm sure this is one of the challenge which CIOs are facing, and they are tackling. And then budget, we have also talked. And then again, Esther also talked about so many things on how the financial inclusion is working, how the hybrid mode is working, how the workplace, scenarios need to be there. What are your thoughts the CIOs are facing in the challenges and how they are tackling in that challenges in 2022 and beyond? Mr. Dixon.
Yes, thank you very much, Faye. Esther has done a good way. She's virtually answered the question, and I like the way she put it. I would like to even borrow her term, working hybrid. It's in Ghana, we call it work from home, but I think working hybrid is a term now. And we have to accept that it has come to stay after the COVID. And as a CIO, you must place your strategy on that and give people more collaboration and a more flexibility of working hours. Another issue you have to realize, another challenge that we keep on facing and CIOs will face every day, is the fact that IT has to be seen as a business enabler right from the front end, so that we collaborate with businesses right from the initial onset of solutions, rather than having them finish a solution and ask IT to deploy. They have to carry IT along, because in these days of digital transformation, there's an IT solution for almost every aspect of the business. And so when IT gets involved, and that's the challenge of the CIOs, to be able to get the confidence of the business partners to carry them along in their initial thoughts and sit them down to understand what the customer needs are, like what my previous colleague also posted. Understanding the customer, let the IT person understand the exact customer needs we have, so that we can deploy a solution that will be tailored for it.
Great, wonderful answers, Mr. Steven. This is really good to hear that how this IT need to tackle on these kind of points. I would like to run now the final thoughts. We are already running out of time, so maybe your final thoughts in 30 seconds. I'm sorry, time is so short. So maybe your final thoughts starting from you, Mr. Dixon.
Final thoughts are certainly we have the upper hand as CIOs and IT leaders because technology is on our side, is growing fast. We just have to find a way to balance the new projects with the existing ones and find a fine line which we can do a lot of cost savings and be very competitive in terms of giving the business a competitive advantage with our solutions and make sure that our cost is also kept as low as possible as well. So cloud is definitely the way to go. Thank you.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. Cloud is the way to go, and that's the way the CIO should also be thinking. To use Mr. Steve, what is your final thought?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fahim. I would like to quote Barry Ross, the CEO and co-founder of Ross and Ross. He said, and I quote, "You can't delegate digital transformation for your company. You and your executives have to own it. Executives need to engage, embrace, and adopt new ways of working with the latest and emerging technologies." Thank you.
That's a wonderful, Mr. Steve, that as an IT strategies need to be owned by everyone in the organization. That's the way the ambitions and challenges will work hand to hand. I really like the way you said, Mr. Steve. To you, Mr. Nelson, final thoughts.
I think this was a very engaging session. For me, I think my final thoughts will just be the customer is increasingly right, especially at the age of information. But even in the age of information and information overload, it's the CIO's role to sift through customer insight, understand the evolution of technology, and be able to inform business strategy and goals, as my colleagues have said. I think the opportunities across the world, and particularly in Africa, are immense. Only about 48% of sub-Saharan Africa has access to electricity, and only about 46% mobile penetration. So it's really very early days around here, and especially with a population of about 500 million still being 15 years and younger, we have a lot happening. So we haven't seen yet the era of the African consumer. We haven't seen yet the era of the African businesses. So for me, for as leaders, how do we keep up with consumers and the changing consumer behaviors to be able to harness consumer insight and engage our consumers in ways that allow our businesses to offer better value? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelson. This was a very good one, that customer insights are always important, which we need to see before we move with any IT ambitions or we see also any challenges within our CIOs or IT tech leaders. Last but not least, Madam Esther, what do you think? What are your final thoughts?
Wow. First of all, this session has truly been engaging. I think my final thoughts would be, as IT leaders, let us put more skin in the game. Let us be involved, deeply involved from the start of coming up. First of all, even analyzing who our clientele are, to the point where we are coming up with the strategies, and then out to implementation. Let us be more involved in the business processes, and you will tend to see that the technologies that we have will definitely be relevant to both the organization and our clients. So yes, skin in the game.
Wonderful. We need to see both ends, the client and also the company. That's how the transformation is done. Not only in the digital transformation areas, but overall as a transformation to the company. So guys, those who are listening to us, I hope you have learned or you have enjoyed today's session. As you see the CIO continue to navigate these ambitions and challenges and embrace the digital future, the transformation of the company, the challenge which we are facing in the company, you are the change in the company. You will bring actually the change in the company. As there's a wonderful quote from Einstein that in the middle of the difficulties is always lies the opportunity. So yes, you have to see the opportunities in your digital area, in your CIOs area, in your tech area, and definitely we can help you in that particular area. This event which we have, the CIO 200 Summit, you may have learned a lot from this session, from this panel and the previous session, which just happened today, and you may have learned a lot. So we thank to the event organizers, the Global CIO Summit, for organizing this event so that we all can come together and learn from each other, as we have learned from Mr. Nelson, Mr. Steve, Dixon, and also Madam Esther. This is what way the learning is, and this will never end. So keep listening, to the other sessions, and keep, joining the Global CIO Summit, and keep in touch with the Global CIO Summit so that you can learn more on the tech leaders and the tech challenges. Thank you so much, all panelists. You guys have shared wonderful thoughts. I hope you guys also have liked the way we have moderated this session also. So I'm really, truly thankful for all of you for sharing your experience, your expertise.
Thank you, Fahim, and the fellow panelists for the fantastic takeaways.
Hi everyone, my name is Vishal and I'm excited to walk you through Alteryx today. We believe that the power of analytics and data-driven decision-making shouldn't just be with the experts, the data scientists, the quants, the developers, and so on. We believe that analytics is for all. From finance and HR, sales, marketing, and business operations, we see breakthroughs and transformations happening across every department and industry around the world. We're living in a new economy, an economy where analysts, automation, and AI provide the fuel to new digitally enabled business models. Some organizations have stated that 5 years of digital transformation plans were accomplished in just 6 months, and the need for analytics-based decision-making is stronger than ever. But transformation without analytics is just digitization. Analytics is what makes it truly transformative. The world has a bunch of different data, and the key is to be able to process and find insight within that data so your organization can make smarter, faster, and ultimately better business decisions. Unfortunately though, we do see a huge analytics gap today. A new survey from New Vantage Partners indicates that 92% of organizations continue to invest heavily in analytics, yet only 19% of customers feel that they're truly being data-driven. This widening analytics gap conspires to impede organizational progress. The main factors causing the gap are a lack of skills, poor access to data, and slow, error-prone manual processes with a shortage of knowledge workers. This gap fundamentally boils down to one thing: a lack of analytics capability within your organization. Let's get a bit more specific. The International Institute of Analytics, the IIA, has been collecting benchmark data on analytic maturity for many years now. They've developed a 5-stage model that assesses the analytics maturity for an enterprise, showing where organizations are on their journey to becoming a true data and analytics-driven enterprise. As it turns out, across hundreds of companies, most orgs score pretty low in their analytics maturity. Out of a 5-point scale, the average score was just 2.2, which sits at the localized analytics and reporting. The IIA has shown a strong correlation between moving up the analytic maturity curve and profit, growth, and ultimately shareholder value generation. The companies that invest in data and analytics maturity are the ones that are winning in the marketplace. And why is the average so low? Well, across our experience and our 8,000 plus customers, we're seeing a pattern of common reasons. Companies are struggling with complexities around number 1, analytics tools and processes, 2, around the people involved in those processes, and 3, the infrastructure that supports them. First, let's talk about the challenges organizations experience with analytic and data processes. The average analysis required something like half a dozen different data sources, more than 4 distinct analytic tools, and feeds out to 7 different endpoints. Each one of those sources, tools, and outputs introduces new opportunities for errors, breakages, and just something going wrong in the process. Plus, it takes significant human effort to keep track of all those different data sources and endpoints, and to successfully operate all of those different analytic tools. For example, we know that business users have an over-reliance on spreadsheets, and spreadsheets are inefficient and error-prone. In fact, IDC estimate that there's about 78 million advanced data workers, such as business analysts, who waste more than 7 hours a week repeating manual data tasks in those spreadsheets. And spreadsheet errors can honestly do real damage. For example, a major bank lost billions of dollars just because of an analyst's error. And this brings us quite nicely into reason number 2 for why most organizations score low on analytic maturity. and that's the complexity around the people involved in those challenging processes. So most companies have a bunch of different people who can execute advanced analytics. People are data scientists. However, even at the more analytics-focused companies, most knowledge workers lack capabilities beyond basic spreadsheet manipulations. For example, a typical accountant or tax professional or marketing operations expert typically struggle to give data-driven answers to most questions. The issue here is that data scientists are typically siloed from the other knowledge workers that their support or whose work actually needs to benefit from that data-driven insight. Because of this, the data science team can be a big bottleneck when it comes to progress, and since no one else in the business is sufficiently skilled to actually analyze and interpret the data scientists can also become overwhelmed with a huge volume of tedious business as usual tasks. We found that a third of workers' time is lost because activities can't be completed in a reasonable or expected time. As a result, business users are often forced to take matters into their own hands just to get the answers they need, which is why we see that over-reliance on spreadsheets. So finally, we touch on reason 3 why the average business analytic maturity is so low. Complexity or lack of clarity regarding the strategy of the infrastructure that supports the data and analytics. We find that most organizations are really carefully evaluating their go-forward cloud strategies, where the data resides, and also how the tech stack is actually architected. According to a recent survey by the Harvard Business Review, 81% of organizations report that the cloud is very or extremely important to the organization's future, strategy, and growth. So we've touched on why most organizations score only a 2.2 out of 5 on the analytic maturity spectrum. Companies are struggling with complexities around 1, analytics tools and processes, number 2, around the people involved in those processes, and number 3, the data, infrastructures, and the support that they get in terms of that. So now let's look at the state of affairs from a bird's eye view. If we look how most organizations operate, analytic processes are based off legacy tools, waterfall methods, and manual steps that really don't keep up with the modern economy. As you can see, a recent IDC survey shows that the average organization is using more than 4 different analytic tools, and more than 90% of businesses still rely on spreadsheets. According to IDC, 93% of organizations are also underutilizing the analytic skills of their professionals. In a similar vein, most organizations are also failing to take advantage of the data they already have access to due to a reliance on that outdated technology. In addition, leading businesses are modernizing their data infrastructures, going from rigid legacy architectures to a data stack that balances the advantages of on-prem, hybrid, and cloud deployments. Organizations leading in digital transformations have taken a completely different approach to how they manage data access, analytics performs, and data-driven decision-making. They've all shifted to a democratized approach, an analytics for all approach. Analytics for all may sound like a lofty goal, but it's totally achievable. The keys to success are what we call the 4 E's. So first, it needs to be easy. You need to be able to go from data to insight in minutes and hours instead of days and weeks. It should be easy enough for anyone to use and have built-in smarts to really increase efficiency. The platform also needs to cover the entire analytic lifecycle, including data access, ELT, prep and blend, and so on. The platform needs to be available everywhere, for every data type and source, from your on-prem legacy databases to modern cloud warehouses, cloud applications, RPAs, and bots. And no matter your job role, skill level, department, or industry, the platform really must enable everyone to participate and drive value in the analytic process. When we say analytics for all, we do really mean Alteryx provides analytics for everyone. No matter your job role, skill level, department, or industry, Alteryx allows everyone to participate in the analytic process. True analytics transformation can't happen for an organization in just a couple of different areas. Unless everyone is ready to go on the journey together, the dream to become a data-driven organization remains just that, a dream. And that's why the Alteryx platform is designed to be approachable and meet every user wherever they are in terms of advanced or non-advanced analytics and technical sophistication. Today, Alteryx Designer and Alteryx Server help thousands of organizations supercharge their analytic pipelines. For example, Formula One teams are subject to strict budget caps, McLaren Racing realised that they need to consolidate their disparate data sources to maintain a competitive edge through the new racing season. The team also wanted to introduce a culture of scalable, data-driven decision-making in order to process and correlate thousands of telemetry points both on race day and in testing. With Alteryx, the team can now bring together millions of data points in any format, combining production, race day and testing data to optimize the race car efficiently and also get the most out of performance. So how does Alteryx make this happen? With the analytics automation platform. Our platform provides a unified end-to-end analytics experience, enabling everyone to create easily transformative business outcomes. The Alteryx platform also serves all personas who need to collaborate and turn data into insights, from data engineers and IT who need to collect, manage and curate data for use across the business, to the business analysts and data scientists who run analytics and create predictions with the data, to business users and owners who leverage the data and its insights to drive business decisions and outcomes. So you're probably wondering, what is the analytics automation platform made of? Well, it's an award-winning portfolio of products that supports every stage of the journey, from raw data to business outcomes and every persona it meets along the way. The Alteryx platform is rated as a top customer choice across leading user review sites. You'll see included our flagship on-prem products, Alteryx Designer Desktop and Alteryx Server, as well as a full suite of analytics cloud offerings that includes Alteryx Designer Cloud powered by Trifactor, Alteryx Machine Learning, and Alteryx Auto Insights. We also have an active and vibrant user community with over 400,000 members. There's trainings, certifications, and starter kits available. But the key value of the community is that our users tell us about the peer-to-peer networking. The ability to share tips, best practices, and get one-on-one help with each other to solve complex business challenges is an absolute game changer for them. So here at Alteryx, we've done quite a bit of research and work to create and refine the core best practices for driving effective analytics upskilling. You'll likely have some of these already in place in some form. And with your sponsorship, we'd like to work with you and your teams to craft and plan a proposal that can accelerate your analytics journey and drive incredible ROI. And we've seen these not only impact companies, but change the career trajectories of everyone involved, and honestly becoming heroes for their companies. Thank you so much for your time today, and please do reach out for more information, and we'd love to speak to you and see how we can help. Cheers.
For our next session, I would like to introduce Daniel Adamurala, Group Head Technology and Business Continuity Risk, Unity Bank. He has an extensive technology background spanning over 18 years, and he doubles as the co-founder and advisory member on the Young CISO Network Africa. He will take the conversation ahead around mitigating the modern threats, how organizations need to transform their cybersecurity practice.
Thank you so much, Golin. I'm happy to actually participate in this experience, the World CIO Summit. It's really an experience being part of it from the part of the world I'm connecting from. My name is Daniel Adaramola, and a bit introduction about myself. I'm a cybersecurity expert with over 18 years experience. The industry I've worked include consulting, the payment sector, the banking and financial service sector also. In the last 10 years, I've been responsible for strategy formulation and strategy implementation at several banks, particularly in Nigeria. The span of my work actually covers 6 countries, United Kingdom, and also 5 countries in Africa. So, and it's been really challenging, but by reason of what we do, we've been able to adapt to the challenging workspace. So I'm going to be talking around, the topic here, leading transformation through change. For me, the kind of transformation we've seen in the last couple of years has been really, innovative, given the imperative of the threat landscape. Even though this is a CIO event, I will look at things from the CISO perspective, particularly looking at the nature of threats we've seen in the last couple of years. One of them relates to the issue of ransomware. That's been really prevalent in the last couple of years. Also the fact that we are dealing with hybrid of everything, talking about IoT, OT, multi-cloud, and the entire estate where typically we have infrastructure deployed. So the different coverage relating to the infrastructure and the imperative for security includes the environment of our email and collaboration. That's where you have a threat like phishing and cyber criminals actually embedding maybe attachment that contains some malicious content with the email. Also from the IoT and OT perspective, we've seen transformation when it comes to endpoint, the way our operational IT is actually, structured. These days, we're having several IoT devices connected from several connection points. So that imperative gives them for a lot of dynamism relating to how the CISO needs to actually structure a security program. Also, the fact that we've seen things relating to SaaS, SaaS relates to security as a service. We need to connect to third parties, as in a multi-cloud environment, you can actually deliver some of the programs by yourself as a CISO or as a CIO. You need to connect to other third parties. So by reason of those connections, we've introduced some other level of threat to the environment. So as a CISO CIO, one of the imperative relates to us being able to actually ensure those secure connections from third parties. Some of the other threat areas, that really builds on the work of the CIO and the CISO includes the endpoint and cloud infrastructure. And endpoints today goes beyond just the traditional endpoints. You're talking about endpoints from your mobile, endpoint from, other IoT infrastructure. So it's actually very important. Security needs to be, embedded in all of those endpoints, infrastructure. Today we're talking about cloud, co-location with other partners. So we have different cloud environment, Azure, like the one I use in my environment. That actually brings to bear some of the some level of threats to the enterprise. So from the CISO perspective, as much as possible, there should be a program in place to ensure end-to-end security for the cloud environment. Also, we have the on-prem environment also, which typically comes, with a traditional security program. The nature of threats relating to the on-prem environment, it's more around the insider threats. As much as possible, to lead the transformation, a CISO needs to dimension the nature of threats in that environment. Have in place effective secure monitoring that has to do with your SIEM and also your secure orchestration and automation to ensure that things are more seamless. So from that perspective, as much as possible, one of the imperatives that actually builds on CISO is to ensure that all of this dynamism is factored into your security program and have the confidence of the major stakeholders, which includes the board and also the top management, and also the customers also. So given this dynamism, the work of the CISO or the CIO is actually very, has become complex, but we're able to cope with the dynamism. Thank you.
Thank you for the session, Daniel. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we move ahead with the awards distribution. A little bit further about the categories. We have 4 categories. The Legend, which is the Lifetime Achievement Award. Second is the Leader. It goes to a CIO with an experience of more than 15 to 20 years with unparalleled experience in their career lifespan. The third is the Master CIO, who has an experience of 10 to 15 years in multiple domain expertise. The fourth is the Next Generation CIO, who has an experience of 5 to 10 years or less, but they have undertaken mammoth projects in a less span of time. Following are the winners of the CIO 200 Africa edition. Congratulations to all the winners. And with that, we conclude the World CIO 200 Summit Africa edition today. I hope you enjoy the presentations and sessions as much as we loved collating that for you. And before signing off, I would like to thank the speakers and the panelists and moderators for the amazing insights on the ongoing trends in the IT industry in the Africa region. Thank you so much for taking out the time and joining us today. Stay safe and stay secure. Thank you.